Hey guys, what's going on? This has been probably my most widely requested video to do, and that is a video on my sharpening process. Now, originally my requests were show how to sharpen a knife, okay? But sharpening is a very suggestive thing, meaning everybody thinks, differently about sharpening. Everybody's technique, everybody has their own techniques, everybody has their own way of doing it. And to say that there is a right or wrong way to do it is absurd. There are basic fundamentals of sharpening, don't get me wrong. But most people, it's just up to their technique. Everybody has a different technique, and it's not really a right or wrong way. Yet, like I said, there are certain things that work and certain things that don't. Okay? But I'm just going to go over my sharpening process in this video, and it's worked for me thus far. It might not work for anybody else but me. And there's a damn hornet buzzing by my camera and on my head. Okay, anyway. Every time I start a video, there's always some kind of bug in my way. So, for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to be using my Spyderco Delica, and this is my sharpening stone. Yes, people can get really fancy and buy grinding wheels, and that works too. This is my method. It's worked for me thus far, so this is what I've been sticking to. This sharpening stone is made by, as you can see, Smith's, a leading name in the sharpening industry, this sharpening stone industry. And this thing's about 20 years old. This is given to me by my brother-in-law, and I'm not sure as of the grit. It feels to be about 600 to 1,000 grit. Probably around 600. Don't quote me on that because I'm not entirely sure. But it feels to be about a medium fine stone. And doesn't take a lot of material off, but it does get a razor sharp edge on a knife. Now, some people are going to say, oh, you have to use oil or it won't work, or you have to use water or it won't work. Either will work, guys. There's not one specific one that works better than another. All that does is, it's almost like if you guys are familiar with the process of wet sanding. You wet the material that you're sanding while you're sanding it, so the water will keep the already taken off material away from your fresh shaving area. That's the way this works. You put oil or water on your stone. Number one, because like I said, when you're sharpening, you're taking metal off of your blade, microscopic amounts, but as you're doing it, the water or oil is going to keep the parts that you shaved off your knife flowing away from the area that you're sharpening. Okay, so it's going to leave the area that you're sharpening on smooth, and it's going to keep it free from the carbon, so that you're not sharpening your knife into the carbon that you're taking off of it. Okay? I hope I explained that well, but I think you guys know what I mean. So that just keeps the area clean and gets the most effective results. It gets the best results out of your sharpening. Number two, it also keeps your stone clean. If you're sitting there sharpening without any water or without any oil, that carbon is eventually going to build up in your stone, and it's going to deteriorate your stone, and it's going to destroy the grit pattern, so that you're not going to get the best results out of your stone after that. So always want to keep your stone clean. That's what's going to keep it operating for many years. So the method I prefer oil. You can use either. I prefer oil because not only it's pretty soupy. This is just a Lansky. It's a honing oil. It's Nathan's natural honing oil. Now you can use mineral oil, but you can use a bunch of different stuff. Now, like I said, the reason I prefer oil is because it serves its job as keeping your stones clean, as well as keeping the blade protected. So it's a double function, because as I'm sharpening, the oil's getting all over that blade, all over the bevel and the edge. So it'll keep it well oiled and prevent it from rusting. So then I don't have to, after sharpening, go back over the knife, wipe the water off of it if I was using water, and then oil it up. It's just doing basically two processes in one. I'm oiling the blade as well as sharpening. Alright, now throughout this video I'm going to be trying to change the camera angle a little bit so you guys can see what's going on here. Like I said, knife sharpening is very subjective. I can't even talk. Very subjective. Some of you are probably going to think I'm doing it wrong, but like I said, this method works for me. I can put a razor hair-popping sharp edge on all my knives using this method right here. So, obviously it works for me. So, like I said, I'm not sure it's the grit, but it works well. I do have a diamond stone as well. If I have an edge that is rolled over pretty badly, it has a nick in it, I'll run it over that diamond stone because it takes a lot of metal off. I'll run it over that diamond stone and then put it back on here for the fine, the fine tuning. All right, I'm gonna start at this angle so you guys can see what you're gonna be looking at when you're sharpening. Now, the way you can angle the blade is up to you. If you can, try to lay the edge down, lay the knife down, and then tilt it up slightly, and then rock it back and forth. You should be able to feel once that bevel, you should be able to feel that bevel rocking back and forth on the flat surface of the stone. You want to try to be sharpening with the bevel, because that is the factory set edge of the knife. And if you're to do it too high or too low, like higher or lower than the bevel is set, you're going to be reprofiling the edge. And you can do that if you like. A lot of people like to do that, but it could cause for inconsistent sharpening, because if you're to get 1 degree higher on this side than you are this side, you're going to have an uneven cutting edge, and that's going to lower the performance of your knife, or your knife's cutting ability. So just try to stay with the factory sharpened edge, the bevel. Just try to catch it, which I have right here. And I like to put my hand on the back of the blade to kind of control it. And you don't need a whole lot of pressure. This is what the hardest thing that I had when I first started sharpening, is finding out the right pressure to use. You're not trying to shave the stone, but you want just enough pressure to where you can tell you're taking material off the blade. Now, like I said, you are taking material off the blade, so every time you sharpen, you're removing more metal, and over time that builds up. So you don't need to sharpen every time your knife gets dull. You need to hone it, but I'll be getting that at the end of the video. So like I said, I'm going to try to catch that bevel, and then I'm just going to push the blade. I'm going to follow the curvature of the blade design. You don't want to be going too fast. You want to be able to control your work. I'm just going to do, I think that's 5. I'm going to do 6 passes at first. Like I said, this is just for demonstration purposes. You know what? I forgot to oil it since we're doing the demonstration. Forgot to start out with that. You don't need much. I usually just use about 3 dots. And you can rub it in with your finger. I'm not going to do that because I'll get my blade all oily. But normally you'd rub that in with your finger to get that, to get it all evenly distributed. Find that bevel. About right there. So you don't need a whole lot of pressure. Now coming back, I don't rest my hand on the blade because it kind of gets in the way, I found. So on this side, I just go with one hand. A lot of people are going to say, well, Sherman, that's going to make an uneven, uncontrolled sharpening edge. That's going to leave an uneven edge. Well, I haven't found that to be the case personally. You might be right, but like I said, I'm not the end-all authority on sharpening. This isn't a definite how to sharpen video. This is how I sharpen and basic principles of how to sharpen. So I'm going to do the same. I am going to control it a little bit, following the curvature of that blade. Now, something never to do, this isn't just me, this is something you should never do. I'm going to do it just to show you guys. When you're sharpening, never flick the edge off of the stone, like so. A, that's going to scratch up the surface of your blade, and B, that's going to cause the tip to roll. And when your tip rolls, then it's more prone to breaking, and you'll probably blunt your tip over time doing that. If you're sharpening and you keep making the edge go off, or the tip go off the edge of the stone, that's going to round off your tip. So make sure that tip never leaves the stone, and just stop once you reach the tip of the blade. Never let it roll off. That is a commonly known thing. Like I said, that's not just me. I'm going to change the camera angle a little bit, so hold on one second. Alright guys, hope everything's in frame here. I'm just going to show you a little bit more as to the angle that I had this in, and get a different little angle. Like I said, you don't want to go fast with it, you want to be able to control this blade. Alright, there's a little, like I said, a little better angle for you guys. Alright, as I stated before, I do not claim to be the leading authority on sharpening. This is just a basic principles of knife sharpening and how I execute those. So this isn't really how to sharpen, right or wrong way to sharpen. Like I said, there are little tricks like never rolling your tip off of the edge of the stone, keeping a consistent angle. Those are basic fundamentals of sharpening. This is just my method of doing it. There's a bunch of different ways, a lot that are a million times better than mine. This is no substitute for a professional knife sharpening job. But as a user, this puts a shaving sharp edge on all my knives. So this, like I said, just a method that works for me. Alright, you want to wipe down your blade, and if you have a strop, you want to use it after this process. Actually, it's good to have a strop. You're going to be stropping your knives more than you're going to be sharpening them. Let's get to that. Alright guys, as I said, with stropping, you're going to want to strop more than you sharpen. Alright, now camera angle permitting, I'm going to try to show you guys the process of stropping. What are you doing, dog? Dog wants to learn how to sharpen knives. Alright, so now I've seen a lot of people use newspaper, denim, just old t-shirts to strop a knife. Now those are all good methods. With the right compound, they will work just fine. Okay, this is my preferred method. This is an old strip of leather. This is Tandy by the Tandy Leather Company, premium rawhide leather. You want to use the smooth side. That is the fine side, not the rough side. Alright, smooth side works best, and with some stropping compound, this will be excellent. But don't have any of that on it right now. This works just fine for me at the moment. Alright, I have a little piece of paracord on here so I can grab it. The other side is another piece of paracord that's tied around the knob of my screened-in porch door. So you can put this on a hook, put it on your wall, and just leave it there. Knife needs to be stropped. You're good to go. Alright, now why would you strop? The purpose of stropping is you use an abrasive material such as leather or denim or whatever, and when you slide your knife across it, it takes off what are called burrs. I'm sure you've all heard of those. I'm sure I'm just preaching to the choir here. But if you're completely new to sharpening, the burrs are the microscopic pieces of carbon that come off of the edge as you're sharpening. Like I said, they're microscopic. They look like little bitty hairs coming up off the blade. Now that causes a rough edge, and that's what causes your knife to rip paper instead of slice paper. Okay? What this does is that you're sliding your blade across, and it's taking all those microscopic burrs off of the blade, and it's polishing the bevel. Now what that does is it leaves you with a completely smooth edge, so that you can slice through paper instead of rip it. Alright? It makes for a much better edge. Now, just with normal everyday uses, if you strop your knife every night, you will not have to sharpen it for a really, really long time. Okay? Because when you start using your knife and the edge will roll slightly, which will cause it to need to be sharpened, which is why your knife will need to be sharpened, because the edge will roll over heavy use. If you strop it every night, it will keep that angle of your blade perfect. It will cause the roll, it will straighten that roll back out and leave your edge perfect. So like I said, if you strop your knife every night, you won't have to sharpen it for a really long time. That's under normal everyday uses. If you're out cutting, you know, trying to cut wood, metal, tin cans, stuff like that, then you're going to need to sharpen, but most people don't do that. Okay, now sharpening, you push the blade towards the stone. With stropping, you want to do the exact opposite. Roll the edge away from the surface. All right. Now, with stropping, it doesn't matter the angle. That's why I prefer the leather strap, because that strap is going to conform to the edge, and it's going to wrap around the bevel. It's going to conform to the bevel's shape, and it's going to leave, in my opinion, much more accurate honing results, okay? Or stropping results, in my opinion, as opposed to stropping your knife on a flat surface. Alright, so what you're going to do, you're going to put the blade on there, apply enough pressure to make that leather bow, and same thing with sharpening. Try not to let the tip roll, and you just want to kind of go with the shape of the blade. I do it about 20 times on each side, and you want to listen for that hiss, that little, I've referred to as listen for the snake hiss. It kind of sounds like that. You want to listen for that, because that means that your edge is very well sharpened, and that the strop is doing its job. I do it about 20 passes on each side. I don't know if that was 20, but this is just for demonstration purposes. You want to listen for that same sound on this side. So just bring it towards you, curving dragging the blade to its shape, like you will when you're sharpening. And be very careful not to cut yourself as well. And you're going to have leather shavings. That's good. But something you want to look for when you're stropping, try to identify which side has more leather shavings, because that's going to tell you if you unevenly sharpened your blade. Because if you sharpened the blade at a different angle on one side, that's going to cause your edge to be, instead of completely straight, it's going to cause it to be off to one side. So let's say the edge is curving this way. When you're stropping it, it's going to act as a scoop. It's going to scoop more leather off. And then on the other side, it's just your bevel's just going to roll over the strop, and it's not going to do anything. So this will kind of tell you if you have a noticeable edge angle difference. All right. Now I probably do, but like I said, this was just for demonstration purposes. If I see that the edge is uneven, I'll go back and resharpen it. But like I said, this is something that is absolutely necessary, because that's what fine hones your blade. Here again, I'm going to try another angle here. See if I can get my camera around here. Hope you guys can see that. Alright guys, like I said, I'm not the end-all sharpening master, but this method works for me. Got a little bit of ripping there. But, same method I use on my Spyderco Paramilitary 2. From the factory, this edge wasn't what I expected. Now that may sound kind of pretentious, you know, saying that I wasn't pleased with the edge of a $100 plus knife, so I changed it. Well, I wasn't. It wasn't as sharp as I'd liked. It was kind of a, it was a very polished edge. I wanted kind of more of a toothy edge. So I put it on the stone and the strop, and Now it's just absolutely scary. So my method works very well for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please comment and let me know what you thought. Alright guys, stay safe, stay sharp, God bless. Sherman 614. Peace!